Hello there, viewer, and welcome to yet another edition of the program, Not Just a Woman. My name is Okinda. And on the show today, we are joined by Naomi Omusundi. Naomi is a woman, as is always the case here on the show. She is also a wife, and she is a HIV counselor. She's an important part of the prevention, treatment, and care services given to those infected by HIV and affected as well. We're glad to have you on the show. Karibu sana.
Thank you, Rose.
Naomi, I was having this discussion with you in the pre-interview, and I said in order for us to understand the present or even confront the future, we must be in a position to know where we're coming from. So a little bit of a background information about you, where you were born and raised, generally.
Naomi is a third born in the family. We have 5 children, 2 boys, 3 girls. So I'm in the middle of 2 boys and 2 girls. Naomi comes from a Christian family. My dad is a pastor and my mother is a nurse aide. So I was brought up in a Christian family, knowing God, going to church. You know, you can imagine the kind of life you've been. You know, I can imagine living in a church compound, you know, every day you go to every Sunday you're in church, you know, every evening you need to pray before you go to sleep. Yeah, so Naomi is also a wife. Yeah, Naomi is married with 1 children. Yeah.
Being a middle child, can I say you were stubborn growing up?
Yeah, I was very, 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 very stubborn. I was very stubborn, but at the same time, I was the best.
How so? What do you mean?
Let me say I lived a life of 50-50, okay? When you put me maybe in church, like in praise and worship, I fit there, okay? When maybe it comes to going with adults, maybe to picnics and what, I fit there. So yes, I used to be stubborn, but at the same time, I used to be a very good girl. Yeah, so I used to live a life of 50-50. Let me say that.
Let's talk about your current occupation. You are a HIV counselor.
Yeah.
How did this come up to be? Did you say, when I grow up, I want to be a HIV counselor? Was it choice or was it chance?
When I grew up, I really wanted to be, I really wanted to do catering. I used to love cooking and, you know, serving people, because I think that's the kind of life I used to live. Because you can imagine living in a pastor's house every time visitors are there. So every time you're cooking, every time you're serving visitors, every time you need to be neat. So I used to admire that kind of life. So when I grew up, I was like, yeah, I need to do catering. But yeah, I started doing catering, but I think on the way I realized I don't need to do catering, because I found myself just changing the way. I found myself just being a counselor, and I think that was when I knew about my status. Because when I knew about my status, when I knew that I'm HIV and I'm living positive, I was like, yeah, why can't I help people outside? Why can't I change the life of the people outside here? Because there are no people like that.
So I would be right to say that because you found yourself living with the HIV virus, when you tested and you were confirmed, you changed careers because of this. It's a big part of why you changed careers.
Yes, I changed career because of that. Reason being because after I knew about my status, yes, I went ahead and did catering. But my heart, I felt like my heart has changed the direction. So, and when I changed direction, I just found myself going to counseling. I just found myself encouraging people, talking, and I was like, yeah, maybe. And most of the time, you find that when people are growing, when a child is growing, he'll tell you, yeah, I want to be a lawyer. But at the end of the day, you find like, it changed. You never know what that. If you talk to that person can tell you what made him or her change. So to me, let me say, yeah, it's my status that changed me to become that. And let me also say, maybe it's God.
Right.
Yeah.
I know you make this sound very easy, but when was this happening? When were you being told that, Naomi, you're HIV positive? When was this?
When I was told about my status, it was on 2005 when I was in Form 4.
You were very young.
Yes, I was very young. I was about to do my exams, and yeah, I was told, yeah, you're HIV positive.
What was going on through your mind at that time, being so young?
The first, being so young was like, no, how can someone become HIV positive when somebody is so young? How can somebody become HIV positive if you have not maybe, okay, people say for you to become HIV positive, you have to hanya or something like that. That's the language people they use.
Yes.
But HIV is just there, it comes in different way. So to me, it was like a dream. I didn't believe about it. And I remember I went for different tests for me to be sure. That
To
I'm
confirm.
that I'm HIV positive. And then I was like, yeah, it will change. It has happened, it has happened. I remember what I told myself, I was like, yeah, haikutoka kwa miti ama kwa ng'ombe, ilitoka kwa binadamu na ni ya binadamu. So we are to stay with it and we have to cope with it. Yeah.
Did you ever think about being bitter or being angry at the world? Because a lot of people go through a lot of emotions when they're told they're HIV positive. They blame others, they blame their parents. Maybe you didn't tell me what I was supposed to do. They blame themselves.
Let me be open. I don't know if it's because I don't know if it is because I was young, but I think it was because I was young. Yes, it came for a very short time, like for maybe a week, you know. And that week, that was the time maybe nobody has known about it. It was just me in the whole world. So I was like, yeah, what will happen? I was feeling lonely. I was feeling like, yeah, I'm bitter. But let me say, after 2 weeks, I was very, very much better. After I've gone counseling, after my parents have agreed to take me and be with me all through, yeah, I felt like life can move on. Yeah.
Were you ever scared at this point in your life about sharing the situation in which you find yourself? Because there was a lot of stigmatization, I think, in the year 2000 and 2001. Up until then, because a lot of people were still not receptive to accepting people who are living with HIV and AIDS.
Rose, I think I can tell you, I never had stigma. I never feared, and I think I was very strong. And I just woke up, and I just found myself talking about it because I remember immediately I knew about my status. I went ahead and told my parents about it. I told my siblings about it. I even went ahead in school and talked to teachers about it. So let me say I never have that fear. I did not have that stigma. And stigma is something that I came to understand you need to fight it for yourself. Because stigma, it's nobody else can give you stigma. It's you yourself. Because, for example, if you sit in a corner and say, yes, I'm HIV positive, people are talking about me, that is stigma. Okay? Maybe if you find like people are talking about you, you need to join those people and start talking with them. Even if they're talking about people living with AIDS, can also join them and talk bad about it.
Yes.
Not knowing that, they'll not know that, maybe if they're talking, but they'll not know that they're talking about you. So you'll feel at least you're relieved. That's when you're fighting stigma. So for me, I never had stigma. I was just okay and I was very comfortable.
Because what a lot of people say is that I used to have a lot of friends. And then once they knew that I was HIV positive, they didn't want to hang out with me, they didn't want to study with me. That's why I'm saying, because sometimes it's also the outside forces.
Okay, let me say like in school, friends were there for me and they stayed there for me.
Wow.
But the only thing that gave me challenge was the church. Okay, the few friends in church, they were like, yeah, maybe anytime they could see maybe somebody talking to me, maybe a man or what. You know, Africans, let me say just, we like talking. The next thing someone will ask is, what are you talking with Naomi? Do you know she's HIV positive? Yeah, maybe it's not, let me say it is not because they were talking a bad way, but they were just feeling like, how can it happen?
They were not understanding the situation.
Yeah, and they were not knowing what is really happening. Because you can imagine in 2005, yeah, there was still fear. Yeah, but it was not that much.
Right. I want to talk about your work because I was doing some research about it because I knew we were to talk about this, and I realized that people go into different areas of counseling. Sometimes there are people who are interested in pregnant mothers and how to help them take care of their children. The people who go into prevention, they're just interested in counseling people who don't have the virus, but they want to make sure that they're able to prevent themselves from getting into a situation like that. What area of counseling are we talking about when it comes to you?
As I've said, I'm a peer counselor, and I do all the counseling. I do marriage counseling. I do counseling with people living with AIDS. I do relationship. Okay, I've done psychological counseling, so I've specified in all counseling, but mostly I've majored in HIV. And mostly I target young people because I'm still young, not old as you can see. And in fact, I'm just looking. I'm looking for a sponsor. So yeah, I'm beautiful. So I'm targeting young people.
All right.
And why am I targeting young people? I knew my status when I was very young. Yeah, and I was in school, and at that time you can imagine 205 life was still, let me say, under the ground. So you can imagine 205 and 2016. Okay, you can imagine the kind of life we were living and the kind of the life the generation are living now.
You're saying under the ground in terms of people did not want to talk about HIV.
Yes, that is one. Two, maybe in our life, okay, we used to see like television. We used to see like Kinamwala, things like that, okay? And soaps those days, though it's not soaps like now. But nowadays we have internet, we have Facebook, we have WhatsApp, and children now are able to access all those things. So they know more than even in our generation. So they're able to access everything. They know about sex, they know about love. Yeah, you can even find a child in class 4 who knows what making love is. And maybe at our age, you never know what that is. So that is why the reason why I decided to choose the people who are, at least the young people, to educate them and tell them that it's real HIV and AIDS is there. They need to take care of themselves. They need to keep away from relationship, or they need to abstain. Yeah.
Very, very correct. I want to ask something about changing lifestyle. Very, very important, because I want to believe there's certain things about your life that are not the same right now than when you were negative. Maybe in terms of diet, in terms of general lifestyle, the things that you used to do, maybe high-risk behavior. What's changed in your life, per se, that you can articulate for us today?
Let me say a lot have actually changed. One, maybe like the food, the diet. Definitely, like the diet depends to the drugs you take. When I talk about the drugs, I talked about the ARVs drugs. ARVs drugs are different ones, and depending with the stage. Once you're HIV positive, there's a test they'll do for you. There are two tests. One is called viral load and the other is called CD4 count. So those are the tests that will determine which drugs are they going to keep you moving. So the drugs, if you start taking the drugs, it will determine with your body. Others can take drugs and be okay. Others can take drugs and give you side effect. So you find that if the drugs give you side effects, they're the food that you're supposed to avoid. Right. Let me say it's like a Fansida. Let me use an example like a Fansida. You remember Fansida? Somebody else could take Fansida, wake up tomorrow morning, she's very okay. And somebody else could take Fansida and wake up tomorrow morning, she's very sick. Right. That's how ARVs are. So it depending with your body. So the drugs also have acidities. Others are not. So you find out that it also end up giving you acidity. So you have to be very keen with the food you're taking, depending with the drugs you're taking. Right. So your life has to change with the food. You don't eat this, you don't eat this. Maybe you used to eat sukuma, you don't eat sukuma wiki. So life changes. Two, let me say the life changes. Maybe if you are maybe somebody maybe used to love sex a lot. Maybe you used to love changing partners every now and then. Maybe you used to you want to be maybe in life you'd be like, yeah, I need sponsors like 3 of them. Okay. Yes. So it's a high time now you need to say, yeah, I only need 1 sponsor. Okay. Why am I saying so? Because the more you have sex, the more you have these sponsors. Okay. Because what people have not realized is that we have different types of HIV. The HIV I have is not the same HIV somebody else have. So to you, if you say, maybe, let's say if I, Naomi, decide today, say, yeah, before I leave the studio today and I get like 5 sponsors, then I make sure I want to spread to them. At the end of the day, I'll be very shocked that I'm not spreading to them. Instead, they're the ones spreading to me. Wow. Why? Because the HIV virus is different from mine. Maybe I'm in A, they're in D. So at the end of the day, I'll be having 5 types of the virus. So to me, I'll be like, yeah, I have sponsors, maybe I've given them. But at the end of the day, it's me who have been a sponsor to them.
They have made your life worse.
Yes.
And this has a connection as well to treatment, because they say it becomes very hard to treat when you have different strains of virus in your body, right?
Yes. If you have different, when you're starting, definitely you have some different virus in the body. But when you start the treatment, then you stick to at least 1 virus, because they're bringing that virus down. So when they bring that virus down, then you need to stick to that 1 virus. But if you keep on maybe having sex, maybe drinking, just misbehaving yourself, then you'll put yourself into trouble.
All right. Yeah. Well, she said she's young. She is also beautiful, but she's also married. And when we come back, we take a journey into her life and we try to pry and basically see how she's moved on from that. We're going to take a short break. We'll be right back. My name is Rose Okinda, and the program is Not Just a Woman. Stay with us.